the National Main Street program. The whole goal of that program is historic preservation.
And I think the collegial nature of menswear is unique in retail.
All of their dads join them on stage, and we provide all of their suits for them. These are guys that work with their hands, work in a sheep field, and then their daughters write us cards saying how amazing it was for their dad to dress up and join them on stage.
This episode of Main Street Matters is brought to you by Wood Underwear, Marchesi Ginfrati Neckwear, and Inspiro Tequila. I'm your host, Terresa Zimmerman. Welcome to Main Street Matters. I am excited to have Oscar Hult from the Natty Dresser. He's the haberdasher and owner of this beautiful men's store in Albany, Oregon. Welcome, Oscar.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to have you here today because I think you've got a really interesting story that's different from so many others in how you founded this store. So I'm excited to have you tell us a little bit about the Natty Dresser. So let's just dive right in.
Okay. So we started out of a need for men's clothing store in the area. There was nothing. Fred Meyers was selling T-shirts and jeans and things, and that was about it in Albany. I was working as the executive director of the Albany Downtown Association, which is part of the National Main Street project. And I was trying to convince people we needed a men's clothing store in town. And so we looked at the census that had just come out, and it showed how much money people were spending on men's clothing in the area. And then we also looked at the taxes that local businesses were declaring, and that showed how much money people actually were spending in Albany on men's clothing, and the two did not jibe. So a lot of people were leaving town to buy men's clothing. So that kind of bolstered the argument. And meanwhile, my wife and I had decided we wanted to start our own business, and we kicked around some ideas, and we thought, men's clothing store probably is the right idea because there's a need. And so that's where we started. Neither of us had ever run a men's clothing store. I had a background of art, and she was a photograph retoucher, with paintbrushes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that business was slowly ebbing away because of Photoshop and stuff.
Sure.
So we wanted our own business. And I had gone to work at Sears as a merchandiser. I worked as a costumer at a costume shop. I worked building sets at a local community theater and at our local community college.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think the fascinating part is that in the world of men's stores across the United States, you're only 10 years old, right? You started this in 2014, right? But yet you can't take away the fact that you're still here after 10 years as a small business that just founded like that.
When I went to our very first trade show, every retailer I met with, they're like, "You're starting a men's store? Most men's stores are closing. Why are you starting a men's store?" And so I gave them that same spiel, and they're like, "You are nuts."
But you had data to back it up, and you had need-driven data, right?
Yeah.
Or at least you thought you could capture that need, right?
Yeah. And we figured we would start, just with the basics, and it ballooned just really quickly. We started out in a shop that was about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, somewhere in there. And we quickly outgrew that.
Uh-huh.
So we ended up buying a historic building in downtown and renovating that. Right now, our sales floor is about 3,500 square feet.
Wow.
And we feel like we're kind of running out of room here.
Wow. Okay. Well, so how are you growing? How did that happen? How did you establish then I mean, if you just, after a few years had to more
Yeah.
than double your space.
uh, well, the I would say it's just the fact that we are the only men's clothing store around. I mean,
Okay.
that really was a significant thing.
Mhm.
When we first started, there was a store in Corvallis, which is 20 minutes away. But Rich retired and didn't end up selling the shop to anybody, so that went away. And then the same story in Salem, the one independent men's clothing store there, a couple of brothers, their father had started the store back in the 50s, and they had a hard exit plan. They said, okay, we're going to take over from dad, but this is the day we're going to close.
Wow. Okay.
So they planned that out. Now I have racks from both of those because I love history and I wanted to keep a little piece of those guys going. So.
Well, and it seems like Albany's made huge efforts to bring back sort of historic buildings and stuff too, and you've done the same in the building you're in, I guess.
Yeah, we're I believe the oldest National Historic District in Oregon.
So you came from a downtown organization. You were the executive director there, right? So, I mean, that community knowledge, that being engaged with the community that way, that had to have helped. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And while I was the executive director of the Downtown Association, I was going to National Main Street trainings. So trainings on how to keep a small business afloat, trainings on merchandising, trainings on how to develop a sense of place and a business that will draw from 60 miles or more. We have currently customers that frequent us on a regular basis from Portland and Vancouver, all the way down to Roseburg, and clear over in Bend, Redmond in Eastern Oregon, and all up and down the Oregon coast. I even have a couple of people who claim that they are regulars who are from California and Hawaii. So.
That's those wine drinkers coming up to the Willamette Valley.
That's right.
Yeah. So how are they finding you? How is this happening?
Well, I mean, it's pretty organic. We don't do a lot of advertising. When we first started, we did radio advertising, and we did a couple of billboards. Those don't seem to be as effective as one would think.
Mm-hmm.
I never did newspaper advertising. I used to work at a newspaper, graphic artist for 17 years, and just saw the death of newspapers happening all around. So we've never really done much advertising there. We advertise on Google. I mean, that's probably our biggest thing, but we keep track of where people hear about us. Every new client that comes in, we ask them, and it's 95% word of mouth.
Wow. Okay. So technically, how are you tracking that? Do you have a tool that you're using?
It's called a legal pad next to the cash register, and all of the salespeople ask anybody who's not already in our system.
Okay. All right. And then does it go into some system digitally somehow?
We have a spreadsheet that we just type it into.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So the role that you play in the community, I know at least on your website, you say, it says that you've been at least early support with a lot of the associations around. I mean, Albany's not that big, but it seems like you've got a lot of community associations that are pretty tight.
Yeah. So I love history. And that's one of my big things. So I've served on the Landmarks Commission. I am currently on the Tourism Commission, trying to draw people into Albany. I've been on the board of the local community theater, I've been on the board of the Monteith Historical Society, which is a group that is dedicated to the preservation of the very first house that was ever built in Albany.
Wow.
Just those kinds of community things, as well as we like to partner with the local food and clothing closet, Fish of Albany. We donate a lot of things to them.
Okay.
We are involved with the Albany Boys and Girls Club, the local carousel. I was on the board of directors for them. It's a handmade carousel here in downtown Albany, which is a huge draw.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you personally are involved with a lot of the community. And since you've had the Natty Dresser, you've engaged the Natty Dresser to play a role in all those things as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And, for National Historic Preservation Month, which is May every year, we started a bicycle ride called the Albany Tweed Ride. Tweed rides are a big thing all over the world. They started in England.
What is that? What is that?
Well, in England, it's the Tweed Run.
Okay.
But Tweed Ride is basically you get a bunch of bicyclists together and you put tweed on them and you ride around town. And
That has to be a sight.
it's fun. Yeah. And so we added a element that is not in most tweed rides, and that is we ride through the National Historic Districts here in town, and we stop every once in a while and talk about different buildings or things that happened in the area. And then we start here at the shop and we end at a local brewery, and they have a antique bicycle show every year. So we stop there, have a drink, and look at the antique bikes.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's in May?
Yeah.
All right.
It's in-
And visitors are welcome?
Oh, definitely.
I would imagine you've got a pretty good tourist traffic too in Albany, just given where you are in wine country.
Yeah. So Albany has the largest concentration of different building styles of any town in Oregon. So our historic districts are pretty interesting. There's self-guided tours, and sometimes there are guided tours. I do guided tours of the downtown historic district in May, and then I also do it twice a year for the local Chamber of Commerce. So.
Okay. So just really quick, how did that happen for Albany? Why has Albany got this place in Oregon that is so historic?
Well, we're right here on the convergence of two rivers, the Kalapuya and the Willamette, and it was a good spot for people to locate. They built some really nice homes. The railroad came through here. Hult was known as Hub City, so the railroad goes out in all directions. You can get almost anywhere in Oregon in just a matter of an hour or so. So it's
great.
It's a great spot, and unfortunately for Albany, it went through a kind of a depression in like the late 50s, early 60s. And so the old houses didn't get remodeled. And when people were interested in preserving history in the 70s, Albany was pretty pristine still. So.
Wow. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, let's jump to talking about the store. So how did you start? What was your offering initially, and how did that migrate to what you offer today?
Well, I would say that it was pretty much the same kind of things that we have. We wanted to really highlight businesses that, products that were made in America. That was our real passion at the beginning. We found that was almost impossible to do in most categories. But we persevered, and anything that was made in America that we could justify selling, we did. things like Hardwick suits, which I still love, even though they don't make them anymore. So we brought in Hart Schaffner marks and things like that. We still sell Hart Schaffner marks. We also sell Max Manbaroni, which is made in China, but it's a really nice product.
Mm-hmm.
We've joined some associations that have really helped our business a lot.
Okay.
One is the CTBA, the Custom Tailors and Designers Association, which is the oldest business association in the United States. So I love that from a historic perspective. They were founded in 1888 or something. But we went to their yearly forum for several years and took classes, and we've achieved certification as a custom clothier through those courses. And so we now offer custom clothing made to measure.
All right, cool. And it looks like you do a full range of accessories and
we do gifts as well, barware and grooming supplies, all that kind of stuff.
Great. And culture-wise, I mean, when somebody walks into your store, what is it that you're trying to get them to leave? What's the feeling that they should have, or, when they're walking in or when they're leaving?
Yeah. Well, our motto is dress well, be confident, find success.
Okay.
And so that's what we're trying to instill in men, is a sense of confidence and a feeling like they can go out and conquer the world.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Now, do you have an online presence as well?
We have a website, but we don't do any sales online. We're strictly brick and mortar. People come in, they're more than welcome to bring in their ill-fitting suit that they bought online. And we have 2 tailors and a seamstress here. So we do a lot of outside work for people like that.
And then younger generation as well. I mean, what's the diversity of your client base look like?
Yeah, so we realized very early that we wanted to do tuxedo rentals for proms because those guys are our future clients.
Yeah,
and, that has worked out really well. In the near 10 years that we've been here, we've seen guys that we outfitted for prom. We outfit them for their wedding, and we outfit them for their first job. We outfit them for their promotions.
Nice. Well, yeah. I mean, being around 10 years, you've gone through those cycles with your customers.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of things that make me, teary-eyed. It's being of service to people.
Yeah. That's amazing. I hear that so much. And those are always the parts where I start crying with people too. Let's talk a little bit about how you do what you do. What are the important tools that you use every day or that you couldn't do your business without?
Our team.
Yeah.
We have an amazing team. And frankly, our God. We've dedicated our business to God, and Jesus is our business partner, and we invite the Holy Spirit in every day. We start with a team stand up in the morning, and we offer a prayer and thank the Lord for all that He's done for us. That's the number one tool that we use, is just praising the Lord. But there are practical things as well.
But that effort is a nice centering thing. I think, that team huddle, team prayer, that first thing in the morning, gathering, that's a really a nice bonding thing to start a day.
It is. And we also, quarterly, we change the whole look of the store.
Wow. Really? Okay.
All the displays, all the window displays. We actually do the window displays 6 times a year.
Okay.
But the entire team comes in, and over 2 to 4 days. We take everything down, deep clean, reimagine what all of the displays are. We come up with a theme, and then we build the displays, and everybody is involved in it. And we have, we take a lunch break all together, and usually we have everybody sign up, and they bring in, an element of sandwich.
A little potluck.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. And I think it makes the team closer.
Is your store open while you're doing this?
No.
Nope.
We close for, we used to do a whole week, but we've gotten better at what we do. So we can generally do it in 2 days. Putting up Christmas is our biggest.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So this year, I think we did that in 3 days. But in the past, it's taken us a full week, which is hard being closed for that long.
Oh, yeah. During that period of time, for sure.
Yeah.
And do you have Santa come in when you're open in December? I know a lot of the men's stores have a Santa Day.
We don't have Santa come in, but we do participate in the twice around downtown Christmas parade and tree lighting. The tree lighting's right across the street from us, so that's really fun. We have a local church that uses our vestibules to dole out hot cider and that kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Santa has all of his alteration work done here every year.
Excellent. We love to know that he's well dressed.
That's right.
And I do see on your website you do a monthly first Friday, last Friday.
First Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
We have refreshments and in-store specials from 5 to 7. So we're open a little late. People come in and use it as a date night.
Uh-huh.
It's fun. We usually we'll see somewhere between 20 and 60 people, depending on the.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it just depends on what time of year it is, whether or not it's raining, that kind of stuff. And then our biggest First Friday is collaboration with the local Rotary Club. There's 22 wineries downtown inside shops. So we'll have a winery here, and our renter in the other half of the ground floor, Beloved Cheesecakes, will have a winery over there as well.
Yeah.
So we see hundreds of people through on that First Friday.
Wow. What time of year is that?
That's in May.
Oh, that's May too. You have a busy May. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guiding tours and doing the Tweed ride. We do a tour of the building during Preservation Month, and there's lots of activities going on in Albany during Preservation Month.
So how about buying? How have you navigated buying, and populating your store with all the goods? I mean, I know there's, again, talking about the age and the history of a lot of men's stores across the country, they've got habits and routines, and their challenge is kind of deciding how to get out of those habits and, bring in new ones. How did you start, and where's that come for you?
Well, to start, there was a menswear show in Seattle, Washington.
Uh-huh.
And so my wife went to India on a missions trip, and I went to Seattle to a men's show.
Okay.
By myself. I had no idea what I was doing. And I just walked in. I had no appointments because I didn't know how to make an appointment.
Oh my gosh.
I walked in. I think the very first place I walked into, The rep's name's Jill. We still see her at a local trade show, but she doesn't handle any menswear anymore. But she used to handle Winthrop and Church,
Okay.
which was a inexpensive line of men's suiting. And she looked me straight in the face and she goes, "You are insane. This is the stupidest idea anybody ever had."
Oh,
But I bought suits from her, and a lot of the people we met at that show we still deal with. Matt Bryan with Pantherella socks and JC Richards ties. We met him there, and we still buy ties from him.
mm-hmm.
It's great. When you get close to your reps, it's phenomenal. And we've had opportunities to pray for some of our reps when they're going through some serious things. A lot of clothing reps are older. They meet health problems sometimes. We've had guys that we've prayed for who were going through chemo and things like that, and just really touches you when somebody you love is going through hard times.
Yeah. No, we've lost a few in the last couple of years that are kind of iconic. Yeah. It's hard. But the beauty of that is the relationship that you got to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, making me cry. I have nobody cries without me.
We no longer have a trade show in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to other shows. We joined the Northwest Buyers Association, which they have a trade show in Minneapolis twice a year.
Yep. Been there February. Awesome.
I believe it's the best trade show in the country. I really do.
Nice.
And it's because of those relationships. Most trade shows, I would say, as you're walking around, other buyers look at you like the competition, which, believe me, I'm not competition for anyone. There's no one in my area that I'm competing. But at the Northwest Buyers Market Association, there's a camaraderie. There's a early morning roundtable where retailers come in and talk about a specific subject. I can contact Randy, who is the executive director, and ask him questions, and he'll hook me up with somebody else who might have a good idea of what it is that I'm trying to solve. Right. So it's been a really great thing. And at the end of the year, you get a kickback on the things that you buy.
Right.
So that helps the bottom line some. And we brought in some great lines through there. So.
Right. And so
go to Chicago this year, which we've never been to Chicago. So that's kind of what we do with our other trade show of the year. Is we just hop around, and we went to the Dallas show, and we went to the Orange County show.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Try to find new stuff.
And you go to these trade shows now with appointments?
Yes. Usually.
You got that nailed. Yeah.
We do try to leave a lot of open time, though, because you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So if you just wander around and talk to people, you can find some really great stuff.
Yeah. And I think the collegial nature of menswear is unique in retail. I enjoy being at the menswear trade shows, and I don't know if trade shows are supposed to be enjoyed, but certainly the menswear trade shows are awesome. How about people? You mentioned your people, so your team. How did they come about? How did you hire them? How are you keeping them?
Well, again, it's God.
Yeah.
Our manager, Ronnie, has been with us for 6 years.
Okay.
She started as a volunteer hostess at one of our bourbon tastings. we used to do bourbon tastings quarterly. We don't do that so much anymore now that we have first Fridays every month.
Gotcha.
But she came in and volunteered to greet people and has been a fixture here ever since.
That's great.
I don't know that I could do this business without her.
Volunteer greeter at a bourbon tasting you said she's your manager? Manager? Amazing.
Yep.
And she's gone through amazing growth with you.
Oh, yeah. She came to us. She had retired from Mary Kay. She's very personable, and she makes deep connections with our customers.
Nice.
She does the lion's share of the thank you cards and that kind of stuff because she just that's her gift is hospitality. Our sales associates, we've lost a couple recently. One was due to health. One was due to her parents' health, and one is because she's going to have a baby. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
all super important reasons. Wow.
Yeah, but
how are you backfilling that? How are you staffing?
It's amazing. We have not had any time where we've actually had to go out and advertise.
Wow. Okay.
People appear, and most people who appear are either here because they know that we're Christians, or they come because they have a passion for serving people.
Okay.
And so we've never had to advertise. Early on, we did advertise, and the people we got from that, well, one of them was amazing, but the rest didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Again, word of mouth.
It's so powerful. What about challenges? I mean, it just sounds like you've had this wonderful, constant uphill trajectory, and there has to be at least one big challenge in there.
I would say our big challenge is Oregon.
What do you mean?
Well, Oregon is the most unchurched state in the union. We don't have a lot of people dressing for that. We have, this very lackadaisical way of dressing in Oregon by and large. Gym shorts and hoodies. And that's at the nice restaurants.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess you do have that very outdoor feeling, casual reputation nationally. I mean, I could see that. And that's true. And that's kind of like you're fighting.
That's kind of a challenge for us because most guys in Oregon think that we're too highfalutin for them.
Wow.
Even though we're very down to earth. I grew up in a sawmill town. My parents didn't even buy me shoes in the summer because, that was ridiculous.
Why? Why would you need shoes? Yeah.
Exactly. My wife and I both born in Oregon. We're part of this culture for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I grew up in a sawmill town. My grandfather owned a sawmill. He was a very natty dresser, and where I got my sense of style from, I think, because my dad was t-shirts and jeans, and when Kennedy said he didn't have to wear a hat, my dad said, I don't have to wear a hat either. So.
Oh, okay. He was looking for that excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, you have to see this every day when someone comes in and you can dress them, and seeing how it changes, their whole, their whole presence.
It's huge.
Yeah. And seeing them feel that.
Young kids come in and they, we take a suit and put it in the fitting room for them, and they go in and they change, and they go in a kid and they come out a man, and it's awesome to see. We have a local over in Lebanon. There's a strawberry festival every year. Much love Oregon strawberries. They are the best in the whole world.
Okay, awesome.
They're so sweet. And you can't really get them anywhere except Oregon because they don't transport well.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so delicious.
Another reason to visit.
They have a strawberry festival over there, and they do a princess court, as many festivals do. And so there's 5 or 6, I think there's 5 princesses. And they're, of course, trying to garner votes from the public to see who will become the strawberry queen. And for the coronation, all of their dads join them on stage. And
Are you make me cry again?
probably because it definitely makes me cry. Their dads join them on stage, and we provide all of their suits for them.
Oh my God.
And a lot of these guys, these are guys that work with their hands, work in a sheep field or in a lumber mill or as a plumber, and they don't dress up. And when they come in and they try on their suit and we get them all dialed in, and then their daughters write us cards saying how amazing it was for their dad to be able to dress up and join them on stage.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The transformation it makes for a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and some people.
That's why we do this. It really is. We didn't know that this is what we were going to be doing, but it's definitely why we do this.
It's great, and especially if you're able to do that for somebody, help them experience that for the first time. I mean, that's amazing, and now they know, right? Just and you don't even have to have a full suit that's custom, right? It's just like just put on something that fits well.
Yeah. We had a guy come in. He was going through chemotherapy, and his wife had left him, and he was lonely. He put himself out there on a dating site, and people called him Uncle Fester and just said horrible things about him. I mean, I can't even imagine what makes people do things like that. But he came in and he said, "I need a makeover." And, he was in a sloppy sweatshirt and jeans that were too big for him because, he had lost a lot of weight because of the cancer.
Yeah.
And so we outfitted him in a pair of slacks and a sport coat and a nice shirt and tie. And he tried everything on and he left here. He still seemed a little dubious, but he thanked us for helping him. And then probably 4 hours later, this guy walks in that is wearing clothes that we recognize, but he is a totally different person. He got dressed. He went out to dinner. He said everybody treated him completely differently, that he felt great about himself. He felt like he was being respected, and it changed his life.
Wow. I think they certainly affect your personal confidence, which people don't think, why do I dress up for them? You don't dress up for them. You dress up for you, because it's your confidence that you're bolstering and that you're letting show, I think, when you dress.
And people make snap decisions about you, whether they believe that they do or not.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't make decisions about people until I know them." It's like, bull. You are so wrong.
Right.
In the first 7 seconds, you are deciding what this person is like.
Yep.
And it's important.
Yeah. Well, and good for him for, finding something, to to give him a boost personally.
Yeah.
And to walk into your store, it's even better.
Yeah. And he got married.
Married. Okay, there you go. Oh my gosh, that's
So
great. So
back
much
to challenges.
I was going to say so much for challenges. I
Yeah.
mean, we're both crying, so.
So back to challenges. I said Oregon. Another part of the Oregon challenge is that we are the most taxed state, I think, in the whole union. Our government here just thinks that the answer to everything is raising taxes. Fortunately, we dodged a bullet this last go-round election time. They were going to charge a tax on anybody who sells over $1 million. If you grow trees and you sell them to a lumber company for more than $1 million, there's a 30% tax. If you are that lumber company and you cut down those trees and you sell it to a sawmill, that's over $1 million. There's another 30% tax. If you are the sawmill and you make it into lumber and you sell that lumber, that's over $1 million. There's another 30% tax. You sell that to a home builder. He builds a home and sells that home for $1 million. There's another 30% tax. You're a realtor. You sell that home for more than $1 million. There's a 30% tax. Just talk about a compounding sales tax.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that didn't go through, is what you said.
Did not go through, but boy, the Oregon legislature sure wanted it to.
30%. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Compounded. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, for sure. Compounded. That's insane. Oh my gosh. That hits small business. That's where it hits. It hits small business.
So anybody that I buy something from in Oregon that makes over $1 million, I'm paying, because they're not going to absorb that and not pass it on to the customer.
Of course.
I'm getting charged that.
Yeah.
Everybody down the line's getting charged that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh goodness. Wow. Way to drive business out of Oregon, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I think that's what they're trying to do. And then, things like they want to eliminate diesel vehicles in Oregon. So no semis. So how are we going to get our stuff? So Oregon is definitely a problem.
Yeah.
During the COVID pandemic, our governor locked Oregon down hard. We were closed for 3 months, no income at all.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in May of 2020, we bought this building. And so we were able to spend our closed time doing manual labor here, opening up carpet and tearing out walls that had been built.
And that was the year that you moved into the location you're in.
Yeah. So we bought the building in May, and then we opened in November. So it was a huge...
That's a pretty fast rehab.
It was a very fast rehab, and it was all because our builder had no other jobs. The city had no permit requests. So our building permit went through in a week. Yeah, crazy.
Showed him what was possible.
Yeah, our appraisal, usually our appraisals here are 6 to 8 weeks, 1 week. I mean, everything sailed through.
Yeah.
And that was easy peasy. Of course, once the pandemic was over, fortunately we were in and through our local improvement district, put in an elevator. And that did not go as quickly. That was almost 2 full years.
Oh my gosh, you can rehab a whole building in 6 months, but not get an elevator for 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Permits and plans and...
Wow. Oh my gosh, that is wild. Well, I mean, it sounds like you personally have adjusted and embraced the life of haberdasher and independent retail owner very, very well.
Love it.
You're loving it.
Truly love it. Ask what I'm going to do when I retire, and I say, why would I retire? As long as I can work,
yeah.
right?
What does
I
that
live
even
5
mean?
blocks away. I walk to work every day. It's fabulous.
Right. Yeah. What are you going to do if you don't do what you're doing now? You got to, I mean, what is retirement really? Right.
I mean, I'm going to sit in a condo and watch TV. Yeah.
No.
I don't like the beach, so.
Well, I'm a golfer and I couldn't golf every day. I mean, I don't, it's like, what is this retirement thing? It's
Yeah.
certainly not, stopping all things and sitting on a couch and watching TV. I don't see that for most people
If
I
I
know.
had to retire for some reason, I would probably volunteer with, the Historic Society or the downtown museum or something like that. I don't know.
That sounds like another job, not retirement. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. So I know we're running out of time. You've got a store to open soon, but I have 2 questions that I ask all of my guests, and one of them is, if you look into the future, you pick the timeline: 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. What kind of challenge do you see, and are you preparing for it now?
Well, I would say the tariffs that President Trump is talking about, I think is going to have a huge effect on retailers. And fortunately for us, we've always sought out Made in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a good thing for us. But
Right.
we definitely are right now looking specifically for more Made in America things that fit in our shop.
Yeah.
I think that will be a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're working on increasing our made to measure shirts and suits and sport coats and all that, because you're not as reliant on having a huge stock of stuff. You still have to stock things because guys procrastinate. They come in, I've got a wedding I'm going to tomorrow. And it's, by the way.
Yeah. My gosh. And you hate it when the groom shows up and does that, right?
Yep. But having made to measure shirts has been great because, we have 300 fabric swatches and guys can get pretty much what they want.
Right.
And we don't have to stock the pop art shirt that
Right.
one guy's going to want.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. So last question. Why does Main Street matter?
Main Street matters. Main Street matters because if we don't have these independent businesses on Main Street, our main streets are going to dry up and die. And from a historic preservationist view, we wouldn't buy a 1912 department store and rehab it if we didn't have a purpose for it.
Right.
And so Main Street matters because it gives purpose to these historic buildings in downtowns all over America.
Mm-hmm.
The National Main Street program, which is run through the Parks Department, the whole goal of that program is historic preservation. It's not business.
Wow. Okay.
They promote business and try to keep people in business and encourage business and do special events in downtown, things like, our Crazy Days sales and those kinds of things are all put on by the Main Street program so that the businesses can occupy those historic buildings and maintain them and have them there for future generations. So that's why Main Street matters.
Purpose. Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Oscar. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate yours. And, I've watched your podcasts and I really enjoy it. And I think that there's nuggets in there that we're incorporating into our business. And hopefully somebody will find something that I said in my drivel interesting and helpful.
No doubt. I think it's been very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to Main Street Matters. I hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. I'd love it if you would share Main Street Matters with fellow retail owners or anyone else who loves Main Street. And please subscribe so you know when the next episode drops.